So number one there, P of x equals x squared plus x plus 5.
8.3.
Can I just skip 1, 2, and 3? It's the same thing. I want to get right to the number 4, a little bit harder one, right? 1, 2, and 3 is just what we were doing. Just plug in, right? Like here, maybe I'll just write out number 1. P of 7, that just means put a 7 here, put a 7 there. Remember the x's is the holes in the toaster? Be parentheses 7 squared, but parentheses 7, parentheses 5, work it out. What is that? 49, 7, and 5, 12, 59, 61, I think. Done. Is that good? So that just means plug in a parentheses 7 everywhere you've got x, just like the last section. Just plug it into the toaster. Everywhere you've got x, you plug in parentheses 7. Same thing on number 2, same thing on number 3. Let's get on to number 4. So number 4 says, here's a formula. Oh yeah, so it's just plug it into a formula again. It looks more intimidating than it is. They're saying, here's your formula, 2, height, length, blah, blah, blah. And it's saying the box is 4 inches by 3 inches by 6. This is like 4, 3, 6. It doesn't matter what order. You could mix them up some other way. It doesn't matter at all. Just put the 4, the 3, and the 6 by any letters. Doesn't matter. And then plug into that formula. This formula right here, which says 2HL, let me write it out first, plus 2LW plus 2HW. So it's going to be 2, and then H. What's H? 4. I happen to put it in as 4. What's L? I happen to put the 6 there. Plus 2. Now what's L? Again, it's 6. What's W? I put the 3 there. Plus 2. And what's H? 4. I happen to put 4 there. And W, 3. Just work that out. What's that going to be? 2, it's 48, I think. Plus 36, 24, 50, 60, 108, I think. That's all. It's just plugging into that formula. Does that make sense how I did that? I just took the 4, the 3, and the 6, put them by the letters, plug them in, work them out. So it's just plugging into functions, really, still. They're giving you the formula. That is the formula for the surface area. Like all the 6 surfaces. I don't know if you know. See, that's why there's 2, 2, and 2, because there's 6 surfaces. There's the front, the back, top, the bottom, right, and the left. 6 sides to that box. That's the formula for the surface area of a rectangular box thing. Oh, what units? What units? It's, were those inches? It's square inches. Area is always squares, because you're really saying how many squares on the top, how many squares on the side, how many squares go around like this. You're talking about actual squares all the way, the square inches, inch by inch squares. This is a square inch by inch square. You're saying how many square inches. Like they want to buy new carpeting for this room, they buy it in square feet. They mean how many foot by foot squares, right? Area is always square units because it's, squares. Okay. Yeah, because the same shape, they could have done either one, huh? Yeah, so they give you the box thing and they want you to fill it up. That's volume. That's cubic, like you're saying. But they just wanted to, like, painting it the outside. Yeah. Surface. Anyway, so this one, they just give me some big fancy formula. P of x is 70x minus 73,000. Yeah. And then they say, find P of 4,000. So what am I going to do with that 4,000 in the toaster? Right there. Can I just go to the next problem? Just plug it in, hit the buttons on your calculator. Right? 70 times 4,000 minus 73,000 equals. So whenever they give me a function and the number in the parentheses, you're just plugging that into the toaster, plugging that in for x. X is the holes in the toaster. Right? 6 looks like a fancy word problem. Suppose that a movie's being filmed through city, action shot, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? All we need is the polynomial. So they're just saying, look, here's the height function. And then it's saying the height at t equals 0. So here's the height function. Let me write it out for you, a little bigger. So it's a formula from physics, whatever, we don't care. They're just telling us, find the height when t is 0, please. So what am I going to do? Plug in 0, plug in 0. Can you tell me what the answer is? 288, because those other parts will drop out, huh? The answer to that first one's going to be 288. And now here they're saying, now plug in 2, please. So you would just take their formula, minus 16 plus 112 plus 288, and plug in 2. Huh? And just hit the buttons on your calculator. And then plug in 4, and then plug in 6. Is that all good to there? Now part B is a little more tricky. Part B says factor completely. Of course, you guys remember factoring, right? We did factoring. That one's actually hard to factor. You would factor out a negative 16, I believe, first. That would be t squared. What's 112 divided by 16? Maybe it doesn't go. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. It doesn't go. It doesn't go cleanly, does it? It does? Oh, 7? Okay, so it's mine. 70 and 42. All right. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, got lucky. And then minus, and what's 288 divided by 16? 18. Oh, nice. Yeah, that minus 16 does come out. And then you know how to factor that from there, right? What two numbers multiply to be 18? Can add to be negative 7?
2 and 8.
2 and 9, both negative, huh? No, not both negative.
Yeah.
Plus 2 minus 9.
Plus 2 minus.
Makes minus 7 in the middle, multiplies to be minus 18. Number 7. Just 1 minute here. 7 and 8. Let me just say domain, and then I think we've covered everything. Good. All right, so 7 and 8 ask the same question, domain, which is kind of a weird question. You're probably going to want to look at the YouTube lecture to get a little more thorough explanation. But basically, here's the simple story, since we don't have any time for messing around. Denominator not equal to 0. We never want the denominator to be 0, because if you divide by 0, if you try it in your calculator, like take any number and divide by 0, it's an error. You can't divide by 0, because how many times does 0 go into 7? Infinity. It goes in there forever. So you never want the bottom to be 0. So basically, all you do on these domain questions, it's really one simple step. Grab the denominator, whatever's down there, and say, denominator, you cannot be 0. That's the answer right there. That's the domain. T cannot be 0. How about the next one? Grab the denominator, same thing. Say, denominator, you cannot. So it's a not equals equation. Kind of weird, huh? Not equals equation. Denominator, you're not allowed to be 0. And then you just solve that. How do you solve that to get x alone? What do you do?
We did program.
How about I just jump the 3 to the other side? Or subtract 3. Same thing, whatever. Becomes negative 3, right? When things jump to the other side of the equal sign, they change sides. You could just subtract 3. What do I do now to finish getting x alone? Divide by 4. That's the answer. X cannot equal, see it's a again, x cannot equal negative 3/4. Any other number's fine, but x is not allowed to be negative 3/4 because that'll make the bottom 0. So that's all you do on those domain questions, is just grab the denominator and say, denominator, you're not allowed to be 0. And you just solve it like that. So that's easy. That'll be the easiest homework.